uh, to our presenters. And what we usually do is let you all give a case about what you're wanting, why you want things changed. And then we take input from the community, and there may be some questions and there may be some additions and those type of things from the community. I guess if you need to show anything, if you need to share your screen, I think Rosie has worked that up so that you can do that. But I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, and I'm going to present it over to you now. Go ahead. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Thanks, Councilmember Lee. My name is Emily Lamb. I'm with Thompson Burton Law Firm here in Nashville, and I am working with the applicant.
I see lips moving, but I don't hear anything, so make sure you are not.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear.
I can hear.
Can you hear me, Councilmember? Okay. Okay. So I'm working with the applicant, Mike Hayes, on this rezoning, along with TA Travel Centers of America. They are the potential occupants of this parcel if the rezoning goes through. And I will give you a little bit of background. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then I will give you a little short, brief presentation about what the request is and why we're requesting it, what the plan is for the property. Turn it over to them if they have any details they want to add, and then open it up for questions. But first, I'll let Andrew and Mike introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Mike Hayes, and this is my wife, Judy, and we're the current owners of 936 Firestone Parkway.
And I'm Andrew Maizano. I work with Travel Centers of America, and I've been working with Mike on this opportunity. And our company has been, basically partners with Mike for quite some time, just with being neighbors at this property.
Thank you. And Rosie, I'm going to try to share my screen. If you can make me a presenter, I've got a couple of slides I want to show. Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can. Let's see. It's trying to share it. Well, Rosie, it's still saying that I can't. Can you try to make me presenter one more time?
Made you a co-host, see if that helps.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. It's not letting me share it.
What is it saying?
It just says, we can't display your current content. Make sure you've allowed permission. Oh, that I've allowed permission to share content. Oh, goodness. I don't know how I do that.
Is it something different outside of the drawing that you sent originally?
Yeah.
Her mic is muted.
Emily, you just got muted.
Thank you. Rosie, it is something different from that. I can work with that if I need to. Yeah, it's not letting me share my screen. Rosie, do you have what I sent you? Can you get that up on the screen? And essentially, I can go ahead and start talking. Essentially, this is a parcel that is adjacent to 936 Firestone. I'm gonna use my hands since I don't have a screen to show you all, but 936 Firestone is up here, and right here adjacent to 936 is the current property that's owned by TA Travel Centers of America. And the goal here, Travel Centers has an existing facility where they do all of their operations, including repairing trucks. The goal here is to move up to this small, about 1.5 acre parcel that's at 936 Firestone. There is currently a truck wash and a truck wash and repair facility there. There will be no addition to the building footprint. We will be removing the washing facilities because it will just be what currently goes on Travel Center's property, the repair. We will be moving that up to 936 on an adjacent parcel. 936 is zoned CL. And what I was hoping to show you all was the map on Parcel Viewer that shows the whole entire area over to the kind of southeast and east are all zoned IR, as is Travel Center's current property that's adjacent to this one. So we're bringing it in line with all of the surrounding parcels. As I said, currently a warehouse structure, there's no change to the footprint. We are not expecting any increase in traffic. In fact, we're expecting this to result in a decrease in traffic. The current truck wash facility services about 25 to 35 trucks per day. That's tractor trailers, hauling equipment, dump trucks. So big trucks that are coming and going all day long. 25. Thank you, Rosie. So all of this in blue is zoned IR. We are this TA is currently this purple, what's outlined in purple. That is zoned IR as well. And then this little red parcel up above that is what we're attempting to rezone. So most of this area is IR, as I said. We are expecting a decrease in traffic because we will no longer have 25 to 35 big trucks coming in and out of this parcel all day, every day. So we're going to be getting rid of those, and we will only be servicing existing trucks on our parcel. And so not only will we be reducing the daily traffic of 25 to 35 big vehicles, trucks and tractor trailers every day, the trucks that we're going to be repairing, that we're already repairing on this parcel that's outlined in purple, they're going to be sitting for longer in this new facility if we're able to move there. Again, we're expecting actually a decrease in traffic. The repairs are already conducted on this adjacent parcel, so we're really not changing anything to the area except to remove an existing truck washing facility. Nothing else will change, at least in terms of increase in activity. So I don't know if Andrew, if you have anything to add. Otherwise, Councilmember Lee, we're happy to answer questions from you, from the community members, but that's the overview. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I should have said this. This was heard at the Planning Commission, or presented at the Planning Commission on February 16th, I believe, recently, and it passed on the consent. There was no objections at that time. No objections were filed with the Planning Commission, and it passed on consent. So we are, having this community meeting now to engage the community on any concerns you might have.
I had a couple of questions. One, how will it decrease the traffic if you're still going to be working on the same amount of trucks that you were before? And the second one is, I took a drive down there, and there are trucks all lined up down the road. It's a small road anyway. So when you get this other property, if you get this other property, then does that mean trucks will be lined up on both sides of the road and blocking traffic?
So the reason it will reduce the traffic is because the existing trucks for Travel Centers, those will, and I'll let Andrew weigh into the trucks and what.
Is your phone still on?
I think maybe if you'll mute yourself, that'll help. So the existing trucks that Travel Center services, those will remain. So that's not an increase. That's going to stay the same. The parcel that we are trying to rezone that is in red right here, that is an existing truck wash facility that services 25 to 35 trucks a day, tractor trailers, dump trucks, equipment haulers. Those are going to be removed. Like those aren't, because this is no longer a facility that will service those, that will no longer be on this property. So that's how we think that if anything, there will certainly not be an increase, and we expect there will actually be a decrease because there will not be the trucks.
So what you're saying is the trucks that you all are working on now, you will still be working on that number, and you'll just house them when you're not working on them on the other one. That's how it won't be an increase.
Correct. That's right. and that what is currently on there that is servicing other trucks, because it's a different company, different facility, that's going to be gone. So people will no longer be coming onto this parcel just for an in and out car wash. Right now you've got 25 to 35 trucks that are in and out all day long, being driving on the property, getting washed and serviced, and then driving off.
Yeah, I understand the washing part and no washing part, but I was just thinking then that gives you more space to do more trucks, to service more trucks. That's why I was wondering then.
No, that's not our goal. We just want to, what we're currently doing on the property, we just want to move it. We just want to have a little bit more space.
Stretch it out.
But we're not expecting an increase.
What about the trucks that now are on both sides? I guess because when you're finished working on them, you just line them up. There were trucks and things parked all on the road back there on the side, and it was very messy looking. So will that now be on both sides? And then a comment was put in the chat that because you close this truck wash, that'll be sending more to the car wash, to the truck wash over there at Old Hickory, and stopping up that traffic.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, that's not related to this particular project. And that's not, I think that's down the street. So I don't know if they'll go over there or if they'll go somewhere else, but they will not be on this particular stretch, this Firestone and Gould. And then Andrew, I don't think that they will, I'll let Andrew answer the specifics about where they're going to house the trucks. I think they're planning on just moving them on there for repair purposes. But Andrew, can you speak to that question about whether they'll be lining on that parcel up there?
So I can't speak to the status of traffic when you visited, but we don't expect to be staging vehicles on public roads. That's not not what we aim to do ever. And if that happens, because individuals decide to do that, I'm not sure what we can do about that, except our general manager can go out there and continue to try to make sure the traffic stays clear. In terms of and there's also another truck stop across the street, so the Thorntons. The other thing I'll say is, in terms of where we'll put the vehicles, is it's the trailers. So on our property right now, we work mostly on the cabs. If you think about a truck is kind of the front of the truck, and then there's the trailer. The trailers typically take a pretty long time to repair, and they take up a lot of space. So instead of repairing things on the lot, we prefer to do it in a contained building. It's better for our employees and better for the vehicles, and allows us to actually keep things a bit cleaner. So I think what we plan to do in that building is put the trailers that take longer periods of time to repair on that parcel of the subject property that currently is a truck wash.
Andrew, when's the last time you drove down there in that area?
Last time I drove in that area was the week of January 24th, but I know Mike Hayes, the current owner, is there regularly.
Okay. I'm opening it up. People have questions or anything, please? And you may want to make sure you look at in the chat room, the two of you, and somebody
I see a question about, I see a question about how enforcing keeping the property clean of used parts, fluids, and other environmental contaminants. And to that, I would just say, again, this is just going to be a continuation of what is currently on that big purple or parcel that's highlighted in purple. This is just going to be a continuation of that. So it's not any kind of increase. However, it's previously been enforced and kept clean is how it's going to be continue to be done so on this property.
What I'll say is we have an entire environmental department that ensures that our properties are kept to environmental standards. We have regular inspections. We have lots of vendors that ensure that the various mechanisms we have on the site, oil water separators, et cetera, are clean and serviceable. And during the process of working with Mike and his family on this property, we did an environmental inspection. It's in great shape, and what I'll also add is about this property, because we're not working on the cabs, there's very little environmental or hazardous material exposure because we're primarily working with the bodies of the trailers. So not, really the engines or, changing oil or anything like that on the property. So I don't think it would negatively affect it from an environmental perspective.
I see a
Andrew,
question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
did you get the questions that I emailed ahead of time with
I
the
did.
map?
I did.
Can you please put that on the screen and respond to that?
Screen. I've tried to share my screen. It won't let me. There was a question. I pulled it up, and there was a question about beautification and brightening because of trash and Burger King. Again, I don't know we don't really have any impact on Burger King or the area. We will certainly are committed to keeping our area clean and our trash picked up. And as Andrew just weighed in on, we've got some safeguards in place internally on the TA side of things. But I can't speak to, again, the trash and the odor of the area.
We regularly have employees called porters that are fully dedicated to cleaning our site, both inside and outside. And if you happen to be there, when a particular driver happens to, not do the right thing and put trash there, yeah, there could be that exposure. But we regularly have people in the lots going through and cleaning and making sure that the site stays in good shape.
Andrew, I'm sorry. With all due respect, what I'm hearing from both of you quite a lot of is excuses and justification. And I feel like you're not hearing the community that we have concerns about the current state. And so as the process moves forward for you to seek a different zoning, we would like more of a plan for correcting the current deficiencies. The map that I sent in talked a lot about traffic concerns and the ingress and egress that truckers attempt to have along Old Hickory Boulevard across 4 lanes of traffic. It asked questions about improving the back pathway to get them out onto Firestone Parkway so that they could turn to the right and go down to I-24 that way and not have truck traffic exiting onto Old Hickory Boulevard. It also told you that my dad and I tried to go to Burger King a few times because there aren't many choices there. And I hear you saying that's not our problem, but it's on the same property address. So it, with all due respect, is your problem.
I'm not saying that's not our problem. I'm saying we don't have any control over.
Sorry, Emily, if you're talking about the Burger King that is on our site.
And I think a piece of what you hear too is, I know some things aren't directly with your property, but when you make changes, it may cause a change someplace else that might not be a positive change. So that's something that the area is looking at and thinking too. Do I have anybody else that'd like to ask a question or make a comment, please?
I do see a question about will the subject property have a stretch?
I don't know if the questions that Tawana put down, if you did directly answer it.
We have not had a traffic study because, again, this was a request for a straight rezoning at Planning Commission, and that passed without any objection from NDOT or any of the other departments. So we have not had a traffic study to determine the feasibility of only having right turn exit from the property. The Burger King, I'm certainly sympathetic to that, not being a facility that is particularly pleasant to attend, but I'm not saying it's not our problem. I'm not sympathetic to not having good options out there. We just don't have any control over Burger King, but we certainly want to be good neighbors and certainly want to do our.
Emily, if I can speak up there, I mean, if you're discussing the Burger King on our property, I mean, we can discuss with our general manager about the feedback that you gave us in terms of the food being stale and the floor slippery, and see if there's anything they can do to make sure that the floor is less slippery and that they keep the food fresh. I know that there are regular inspections by Burger King to make sure that
It was
stays
about the
in
trash
place.
outside.
And then, well, I think you also mentioned the trash outside, and I can also speak to the general manager, who's actually, I believe, met the council member with Mr. Hayes in January about ensuring that the porters, the people that are fully dedicated to cleaning the site, do a better job, particularly on the lot and the outside areas that you and the local residents regularly see and drive by.
And I'm sorry, Twana, I misunderstood your question. I thought there was a separate Burger King in the general area that you were referring to. So that was why I was saying we didn't have any ability to have any oversight of that. But so I apologize for misunderstanding that question. Are there any?
Were you aware of the NDOT plans for the road improvements and how that's going to impact things? And I'm still wanting to hear that you will visit some improvements on the backside of your property onto Firestone Parkway. The tractor trailers years ago used to be able to use that exit, and the traffic problem got worse when they started forcing most of the tractor trailers to use the Old Hickory Boulevard side.
So Twana, I would love to get back to that. There's a message from Andrew.
Yeah, I was going to jump to that because he's getting ready to get off.
Twana.
Andrew?
Is it? Sorry, not me, Andrew, right?
No, Andrew.
No, the president of the October.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My only question is, there's a little weird access between where it's now blocked off between like the subway and gas station to that truck. Excuse me, that truck wash. Is that if this gets changed, I'm gonna kind of agree with Twana. I would like to see better access to the backside up onto, was it Gould Boulevard? Oh, and I don't know if that also changes to where that access where they can go into the truck wash one way, or we change the traffic pattern of the facility to make sure they try to have trucks exit from the back of the property, because on the front of the property, I agree, it is madness. There's a huge hole up there where the trucks try to turn on and they're going through the grass. It's just a gigantic mud hole. So if we can do something where they can either use that other weird side street that's kind of been blocked off, or was it Gould Boulevard, I think that would be beneficial.
Hey, Andrew, my name's Ed Thomas. I'm actually at TA as well. I'm a colleague of Andrew Maisano's. I was looking at that actually the other day, and I can confirm what we're planning to purchase, the truck wash facility property. It does not include, like, we won't be purchasing that driveway. I know exactly what you're talking about. That sort of splits down the middle between the truck wash facility and the what we sort of call the Marathon Oil, like subway facility to the north. So that won't. There will be no change. Like, we won't have control over that road to make any changes to egress and ingress along that road. It does look like it connects to our site, but I do believe it is blocked off now. It's not used. And I'm sure we would need all kinds of sort of state permissions to get that opened as a public way. I don't think it is a public way, and we're not going to be purchasing it. We don't own it now through our ownership of the large travel center, and we're not going to be purchasing it as part of our purchase of the truck wash facility. So I don't think that would change. I do think I would have to look into it more about how our trucks can and do enter and exit onto Gould from the main truck stop parcel, and whether there are sort of any changes or improvements we could do to send more traffic back that way. I don't know that off the top of my head, and I don't, the plan with the truck wash facility right now is not to change any of the ingress and egress. They've got two points of ingress, egress, one to Firestone and one to Gould, and I don't think that's not gonna change at all in this in this purchase if we're able to consummate this purchase.
But Andrew, if you're saying you'd prefer, like, you'd like to see more vehicles exiting as my colleague Ed was saying, towards Gould as opposed to towards Old Hickory, I mean, I think that does make sense because it probably makes it much easier to get onto Old Hickory from Firestone as opposed to from out of our travel center. And I mean, we can talk to our local management about what's possible to try to direct more vehicles towards the rear of our property.
Maybe that we could get some signage up or something, and try to direct people back there. I think we're willing to do some due diligence and see if there are some reasonable measures that we can take. Again, recognizing that we don't have control of all the property, as Ed just said, and aren't planning to purchase it, but we can certainly do what we can on our part of the parcel, that works within our plan and our process.
I'm not against like the rezoning as a whole, just because I looked into the two different, there's not a whole lot of differences from the zoning. From my understanding, I may be a little ignorant on some of this, but I'm going to back up some things that Tawana said. It would be nice to get some stuff to exit a different way, because that up there at Old Hickory is pretty crazy. And I have to exit. I'm sorry, I have to go to another meeting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
Tawana, I don't think I received a map that you said you drew. I see that in your you mentioned it and you put it in these comments. I got an email from you, but I don't think I received a map. So if you have that or can send it to Rosie to get it on the screen. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you on that.
I appreciate that. I believe that it went to you and the council member. I don't believe I did include Rosie on it, so I'll have to resend
All I
that
have
from
is an
home.
email. I have an email that you sent to Rosie and me that Councilmember Lee is not on. And that
You
one
don't see an attachment to it?
No, just the map that not up to your email. No, I see the map in the bottom of it, this parcel viewer map that I had put together. But I'm looking right now. I don't see any attachment to it. So I wonder if it.
Okay,
It's
I'll have to resend it from home.
Sure.
It's not on this tablet.
Sure. Anyway, I just wanted you to know that I'm not ignoring that. I haven't seen it, so I can't respond to it. There was a question earlier, I'm going to scroll up a little bit, that's asked if there was going to be a structure built on this subject property, and there's not. There is an existing warehouse. We will remove the washing facilities from that warehouse. We will not change the footprint or add on to anything on that. That structure will remain with some internal changes, but we're not going to be adding in any structures. I'm trying to scroll back up to see if I answered everything, but if y'all have any other questions while I'm looking, please feel free to speak up.
What will become of the existing facility that you're moving into the truck wash?
Do you mean where's that truck wash going to go?
No.
I think I understand, Tawana. So as I mentioned earlier, we do repairs on the front of the truck, the cab and the rear. And right now, a lot of the rear, the trailer, I should say the right term, the trailers often are worked on the lot. So instead of working on the lot, we're putting them in buildings to work on them. So the truck service facility today, where they do mechanical maintenance, will continue to work on the front of the truck. But I think that's why we were saying it's not really net new to the facility. It's just a matter of putting those trailers in a better space for employees and technicians to do better work for the customers.
Well, it would definitely be easier to work on the top of them with the existing ladder that's inside the truck wash right now. There's a nice
safer
walkway up there. So I understand that. I do want y'all to be mindful that you emphasize the loss of 25 to 35 tractor trailers being washed each day. And unfortunately for the community, the new undesirable tractor trailer wash is on the other side of I-24, and we will get more impact from that if more trucks come across that way. So that's not really a good thing for the community, but that's also not really your problem. I just want to reiterate.
Curiosity, so I have my bearings. Where is that with respect to this parcel? Because I'm trying to have my bearings so I understand your perspective
on-
there.
It's on the same south side of Old Hickory Boulevard, but it's 2 properties away from I-24 on the west side of I-24.
Okay.
The blue beacon, Tawana?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at a map. Okay.
And so finally, I just want to reiterate again that I've lived in this area a long time. The truck stop used to be more attractive for people who weren't necessarily driving tractor trailers. It has gotten more sloppy through the years. There's more, and that's society in general, but this is our opportunity to deal with this place. There's more trash blowing around. You know, the Old Hickory Boulevard exit has just become terrible. So I would personally look for improvements to the ability to exit out the back to Firestone Parkway for tractor trailers. More of them can be stacked up for the traffic light at Firestone and Old Hickory if they come out that way. Those poor drivers are waiting, and they're having to use the tractor trailers to actually block traffic to let traffic in and out. They're just, having to be courteous to one another, and the intersection is just a mess. So improvements to that would definitely be desirable. Thank you.
Thanks, Tawana.
I had a question. This is Larry Price. What is the trailer capacity in the car wash for the current car wash for repairs? You're not changing the footprint. So how many trailers can be repaired simultaneously? And what are the repair hours?
I might have to tag in a colleague of mine, Brandon, but the repair hours for the trailer facility are usually more limited than the truck wash, I believe. I don't want to speak out of turn. And then I think, Brandon, we can put in trailers on both sides, so it would be 4 trailers. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's spot on. We can fit 4 trailers in the facility at a time, and it will have limited hours of operation. Right now, we're thinking the hours of operation are going to be between 7 or 8 a.m. to about 6 or 7 p.m. So it'll be very limited versus the actual travel center, which is 24 hours a day. And then obviously we can house a couple of trailers on the property itself, but it's not a very big parcel. So I wouldn't imagine we would have more than 10 or so trailers staged waiting to be serviced at any time.
Okay. And Andrew, you previously said that, if I heard correctly, trailer repairs often take longer than the tractor repairs. Was that correct? So
Yeah,
what
That's
is the
correct.
average length of time on trailer repairs? In other words, if there are 4 in the facility at a given time, what is the turnaround time on those?
Yeah, so I'll take that one, Larry. So essentially, what we would look to do is we would have one of those lanes moving trailers through. When we do have smaller repairs, quick repairs that take in the vicinity of 90 minutes to 180 minutes, kind of 2.5 hours, somewhere in there. And then the other bay would be for the more elongated repairs, where we're repairing them for anywhere from 2 to 5 days or upwards of a week or longer. So that's what we'll see. We'll see one bay pushing a few trailers through a day, and the other bay is going to have trailers sitting in it pretty much entire day or multiple days on most occasions.
Okay. And, thinking of, um, of kind of an analogy here is, if I am doing commercial construction or even residential construction, and I have to file for a building permit. Once I open up walls, I have to bring everything up to code. And in a sense, I think that is what is happening here. You want to take this parcel and you know, use it in a different purpose. And those of us in the community are seeing this as our opportunity to correct things that have been issues and concerns for the community for quite some time. And, merely for us to merely say, yes, we're fine with this, it doesn't address the existing issues. And so that's a lot of my reticence to be on board with this.
Anybody else? And I don't know if anybody actually took a moment to drive down that area. So when this meeting is over, between the next time that we have another meeting, you may want to just drive down that area to see. I think I'm going to drive down again. I drove down there, and again, one of the major things that struck me was all of the large trucks just parked over there, and as it was said before, it looked very, very messy, very, I don't want to go down here. So one of the things that I would want is that we make sure we try to keep that clean, keep it neat. Now you've got a larger space, maybe keep it more organized so that it is not an eyesore. Anybody else who has not spoken, please?
May I say something, please?
Of course you may.
I think I certainly agree that the problem on Gould Avenue, the rear of Gould Avenue, is it seems like there's an awful lot of trucks that park back there, but that's not from the TA traffic or from the truck wash traffic. Those people, because I've had to run a few of them off that have parked right up there in my driveway before, but those people seem to be truckers that are just looking for a place to park for their required time. And in fact, we have seen the police go by there a few times and make them move because it's a city street, Gould Avenue. And I think that's probably going to be a lot easier with TA overseeing the whole thing, that little piece I've got, simply because TA doesn't want those trucks to be blocking on the side of the streets between their exit right now and my exit, which they have in the past. And I've had to call the police a few times, but I think TA would be able to do a little better job of keeping track of that than me, simply because they've got more drivers that listen to them. And well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I agree with you. There's traffic on the back side of Gould Avenue there, but they have had the police come by often and make those people move.
Mr. Hayes, I just want to emphasize that we in the community are more than willing to do our part to support requests that go to NDOT for roadway improvements that help the community, help businesses, because if it helps the business, it generally helps the community.
Right.
And so maybe it looks like some shoulder improvement, maybe it looks like having trees cut back a little bit, maybe it looks like additional signage, maybe it even looks like a better shoulder out on Firestone Parkway. I don't know. But if y'all need support on that, we're certainly willing to put our mouths to that kind of thing as well. We just know that we want some kind of a solution planned before we don't have this opportunity again. This is an opportunity for the community to get some improvements. And I mean, to be quite frank, y'all just kind of give us an opening, and we've learned that we need to take those openings and take advantage of opportunities where we have them. But we're also willing to do our part in that regard.
I certainly appreciate that.
Okay, we have a little over 15 minutes left. But I'm still anybody that is wondering how things are, what they look like, that type of thing, that hasn't already spoken. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you all have any comments or want to answer specifically to any of the things that were said. All right. Well, it looks like and I it says to be silent is okay. So I thought I left a long enough time um to see if any more comments, and I'll have a chance if anybody wants to say anything after this. But it looks like you all got a couple of things that you may have to look into to see if there's some things that you can put in place to help or bring back. I know there were some things that you all said you wanted to look into to see, like when it comes to the exits or what can be done. So it looks like from the conversation that you all got some things that you were going to look at and maybe bring us back some things that you could do to help that area. And it may even be like Tawana said, I know for my issue, it might have been the no parking signs, but there were other issues dealing with the curbs and different things like that. So we may want to look at that, because like it was said earlier, this is our chance now to make, since you're going to do something new with this area, to make sure we try to get it at the beginning to look good, and then it'll be up to y'all to keep it that way. But yes, because I think I met with the property owners of both properties. I think in concept, it doesn't sound like we have a problem with this at all in concept of the moving and why you want to move. It's just that now it is a chance to get that area to make sure that it looks good, that we're not just changing from one area to another, and then it's going to be an eyesore or messy, that type of thing. And to see what you can help us do, because one thing we always want to know is, by doing this, how is that good for the community? We know it's good for your business. We know it may be good for the truckers that come there that need extra space, but how does it help the community? So one way that it could help the community is make sure that that's not an eyesore, and make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing. Anybody else that hasn't had a chance? I see Tawana. Okay, Tawana, you know I'm ignoring you just a little bit. Anybody else that hasn't had a chance to speak, or any of the owners that need to speak specifically to the questions that were done before? And then Tawana, I'll let you come on. Miss Carolyn, you don't have anything to say?
Hello, everyone. You know I do, but mine is totally different from the Firestone area. My concern is Hobson Pike, which runs. I want that fixed. You guys did an excellent job on the stoplight. It's working well. I love it on Mount View. So now if you can just get the street paved, I would be so happy. Hobson Pike is terrible, all the way to Old Hickory. Yeah, it's terrible. Oh,
yeah. And that part is all terrible, especially down where we're talking about that Firestone area too, getting in and out of the road. So, So whatever they have do, whoever is your new council person or whatever in that area, keep their feet to the fire, because you see how long it took for that light. It takes so long for changes to happen.
Yes. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you.
But they still didn't do it like I want, because they don't have the turn lanes that they promised me they were going to do.
Yes, so, the turn lane. But
Yeah, and they promised me that. So anyway, so we have a little under 10 minutes. Tawana, you had something else you wanted to say before I close it out?
I just want to tell the developers that if you want to look at the NDOT improvements, you can find those as part of the package for the Century South deal right at I-24's Zero Hobson Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard. And that's where it talks about the improvements that are going to be going on next to the truck stop on the I-24 exit and onto Old Hickory Boulevard. And if I read all of that correctly, y'all are going to lose like another 12 to 20 feet at the edge of Old Hickory Boulevard. And so that's why I'm kind of harping on y'all getting with NDOT and figuring things out now in this moment, because there's going to be some changes triggered and it'll cost more if y'all don't know about it ahead of time. Thank you.
Thanks, Tawana. You mean get with NDOT to figure out, because I'm looking at your email as well, get with NDOT to figure out what improvements they have planned so we can work, I guess, in conjunction with those improvements. Got it.
Yes, and it's the I-24 South PUD Limited, and it had a bunch of required improvements that are triggered at different stages of that development, and it's extending to your side of I-24.
We appreciate that. Thank you. We'll look into it. NDOT is, legally required to give us plenty of notice. I haven't seen anything come across my desk yet in terms of changes to our site, eminent domain, anything else, but we'll definitely look into it. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, it'll take several years the way they talk.
Yeah, sometimes they have stuff in plans that will happen later, but they're not going to tell you now because it's not happening to you now. But if it's some land or something that you have, you may want to be aware of that because you still own it or whatever when it does come down the line, and then it'll be too late to make any changes or to do anything different on it then.
Great. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank everybody that was able to come out. I know it's always a hardship to come out to be on Zoom during your dinner time. But I would also like for you all to sign on to the Metro website and to see when they're having these different meetings that are talking about how they're going to change the district. They don't know how to change it now. And they're also saying that they're going to have a lot of community meetings. So if they have one in our area, I think it's going to be probably at the library. That's where they have most of them. So you can see what's happening, because I think they're going to be some putting together of some of the districts that are here in the Southeast. So you will have districts coming together, maybe council people butting heads or whatever. So that is something that I want you to be aware of. I tell you that planning does pay attention because it did happen on one of their last redrawing. They do pay attention when the community really, really comes into play. The last lines, I know they changed 33 a lot, but we did not have a lot of community hollering out, speaking out, saying we don't want that. And so they don't pay that much attention to the council people raising heck. They do you all. So keep up with what's going on so that you can express your feelings with whatever happens. And as we get closer to the voting time, do not forget, if you get something in the mail that's supposed to be yellow, do not throw it away, even though it may look like just some advertisement or something, but it's your voting information. You tear it off, it's going to be on a yellow paper this time. That's very important because you may have district precincts that change, you may have things that change. So you do want to get that. And I'm going to tell you, the early voting is going to be very important this year, very crucially important. So you want to get out and do that. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming out. You all have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy your dinner or whatever you're going to do. Be safe. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.